Ava Jennings stood on her front porch, her hand instinctively resting on the curve of her pregnant belly as she breathed in the crisp morning air. The sun had just started its slow climb, casting long shadows over the pristine lawns of Willow Creek, a quiet neighborhood she and her husband had saved for years to move into. The freshly planted hydrangeas at the edge of the lawn nodded in the breeze. All was still, peaceful, at least it should have been. Then she saw her. Across the street, standing with robotic posture behind a manicured hedge, was a woman in her mid-50s with platinum blonde hair coiled into a shell-like bun. Her arms were crossed tight, clipboard clutched to her chest like a weapon. Her eyes didn't blink. She was staring straight at Ava. Watching. Ava tried to be polite, offering a gentle smile and a small wave, but the woman didn't move. Not even a twitch. Unsettled, Ava stepped back inside and shut the door. "Karen," the neighbors would later whisper. "She's the one you gotta look out for." But Ava hadn't met the legend yet, not formally. Her husband, Michael, laughed, eyed off. "Babe, she's probably just a little nosy. These HOAs love to nitpick. She'll get used to us." Ava wanted to believe him. But that night, she heard footsteps outside. She peeked through the blinds to see a flashlight beam skimming across their front yard, stopping on their mailbox, pausing on the edge of the driveway, then flicking toward the side gate. And there she was again, Karen, clipboard in one hand, phone in the other, snapping photos of Ava's car parked half a tire over the curb. Ava's heart raced. She considered stepping outside, but something told her not to. It wasn't just nosiness. It was precision. It was control. Karen wasn't just watching. She was hunting. The next morning, Ava found her first official HOA violation notice taped with electrical tape to her door. Not slipped under the mat. Not mailed. Taped. Vehicle parking violation. Code 14B. Unauthorized curb parking after 10 p.m. Repeat offenses will result in fines. Please comply immediately to avoid escalation. No name, no phone number. Just the cold insignia of the HOA, stamped and typed with bold red ink. Michael was furious. "She can't just stick things to our door like this. This isn't even a proper notice. There's no contact info, no date." But Ava just stared out the window again, drawn by instinct. And sure enough, across the street, Karen stood there, watering her lawn. In her slippers, garden hose limp in hand. But her eyes, just like the night before, were locked on Ava. A week had barely passed, and Ava felt more like a trespasser than a homeowner. Her nerves were beginning to fray. Every time she left the house, she scanned for Karen. Every time she returned, she checked for a new violation. Then came the morning she returned from her prenatal appointment, stomach tight with worry, and found a second notice. Unapproved. Decorations. HOA code 6G. Front yard decor must align with seasonal guidelines. Balloon wreath deemed excessive. It was her baby shower wreath, a soft pink ring of fabric and ribbons made by her younger sister. The only thing welcoming on their entire porch. Ava sat down on the front steps, clutching the notice. Her hand trembled. Hormones, stress, fear. She didn't know anymore. But what she did know, deep down, was that this wasn't just about rules. This was personal. And Karen, she was just getting started. The wreath was gone. When Ava stepped outside the next morning to get the mail, she noticed the empty hook on the door before anything else. The pink baby shower wreath, the one her sister had made with hand-tied ribbons and glittery script that read, "Coming soon, baby girl," had vanished. Her breath caught in her throat. No windstorm, no damage, just gone. She scanned. The porch, then the flower bed, nothing. But a new, bright orange HOA notice flapped in the breeze, tucked under the doormat. Second notice. Yard decor non-compliance. HOA code 6G violation reaffirmed. Unauthorized decoration has been removed for inspection. Please refer to HOA guidelines before replacing with compliant items. Removed. For inspection, Ava's pulse began to rise. She looked across the street, and there she was. Karen, standing. In her driveway this time, arms folded, a steaming mug in hand. Smug. Watching. Ava took a deep breath and walked over, cautiously but determined. She wasn't looking for a fight. She just wanted her wreath back. Hi, Karen, right? Ava offered, trying to keep her voice calm. I think there's been a mistake. My wreath's missing and the notice said Karen cut her off. Her tone flat but sharp. Nothing's missing. It's been removed. It violated HOA standards. Ava blinked. But it was just a baby. We don't allow sentimental clutter on front doors outside of approved seasonal holidays. Karen said crisply. People complain it's a safety hazard, could fall and hurt someone. You're new, so I'm being generous. Ava's stomach twisted. Can I get it back? Karen smirked. When the board finishes reviewing it, assuming they don't fine. You. But. Are you the HOA president? Karen's smile didn't reach her eyes. I'm the liaison. I handle enforcement. Trust me, dear. Things go smoother when you follow the rules. Ava stood there, stunned, her mind spinning. Was that even legal? Could she just take people's property? But Karen had already turned her back and disappeared into her house, the door clicking shut behind her like a vault ceiling. That evening, Ava vented to Michael. She took it off our door, just walked up and took it. And she's not even the president. She called herself a liaison. Michael's brow furrowed. Something doesn't feel right. She's acting like she runs the place. I'm going to the next HOA meeting. We'll find out what's really going on, but Ava didn't want to wait. The next day, she called the HOA office listed in the community welcome packet. A receptionist named Jenna answered. Warm, confused, and clearly surprised. No, we don't remove decorations, Jenna said. That's not a standard practice. We issue written notices and only after multiple violations. And as far as I know, there's no formal liaison position on the board. Are you saying someone physically removed your wreath? Yes. And left a typed notice with no contact info. Silence on the other end. Ma'am, Jenna said slowly. Can you send us a copy of that notice? This isn't the first time we've heard something like this. Ava's heart dropped. It's not. No, and if you feel threatened, please contact the authorities. We'll look into it internally, but this sounds irregular. After she hung up, Ava stared at the notice again. The font was just slightly off. The seal, blurry, like it had been copied too many times. It wasn't official, it was fabricated. That night, Ava stepped onto the porch and saw something else. Her garbage bin, still at the curb, not yet pulled back in, had a new sticker on it. Bright red letters. Trash violation second trike. She had brought it in every day on time, except today. Ava looked across the street again. Karen wasn't there, but her curtains twitched. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Ava leaned against the register counter, the repetitive beep of scanned items blending with the low murmur of the grocery store. Her feet ached, and the weight of her pregnancy pulled at her lower back, but she forced a smile for every customer who approached. It was supposed to be a routine day. But then she saw her Karen, standing stiffly in the checkout line, arms crossed, lips pressed into a thin, disapproving line. Ava's heart sank. How? Had she found her here? The line was long, with impatient shoppers tapping their carts and glancing at their watches. Karen's eyes never left Ava's face. When it was finally Karen's turn, she stepped forward with a deliberate slowness, setting a single item, a can of soup, on the conveyor belt. I'm in a hurry, Karen said sharply, glaring at Ava. Ring me up next. Ava blinked. I'm sorry, ma'am, but there's a line. I have to serve customers in order. Karen's lips curled into a sneer. You must think you're so important, sitting there with your little baby bump, ignoring your duties." The words stung. Ava's cheeks flushed, not from heat, but from the simmering anger she usually kept tucked away. "I'm doing my job," Ava replied quietly, scanning the soup. Karen's voice rose. "I'm going to talk to your manager about your attitude. You're unprofessional and rude. I demand you be fired." Heads turned. A few customers whispered, eyes flickering between the two women. Ava swallowed hard and pressed the call button. Her manager, a tall man with a calm demeanor named Tim, approached quickly. "What seems to be the problem?" Tim asked. Karen pointed a finger at Ava. "This cashier is neglecting her responsibilities. She's disrespectful and slow. I want her removed." Tim glanced at Ava, who nodded nervously but maintained her composure. "I've been watching," Karen continued, voice dripping with false concern, "and she's ignoring me. I don't know what her problem is, but I won't tolerate it." Tim gave Karen a polite but firm look. "Thank you for your feedback. We'll look into it." Karen didn't look satisfied, but stepped back. Ava exhaled in relief. Later, in the break room, Ava's hands shook as she peeled off her name tag. Her body felt heavier, and tears welled in her eyes. Why was Karen targeting her so relentlessly? What had she done to deserve this? That evening, Michael came home to find Ava exhausted and tense. "She's following you everywhere," Michael said, rubbing her feet gently. "This isn't normal." "I don't know what she wants," Ava whispered. "But it feels like she's waiting for me to mess up." Michael's jaw clenched. "We'll get through this, I promise." But even as they talked, Ava couldn't shake the feeling that Karen's presence was lurking behind every corner. In the quiet moments, the whispered conversations of neighbors, the unfamiliar gaze in the grocery store. The next morning, Ava discovered something chilling. Her car windshield had a slip of paper stuck under the wiper. In bold, scrawled letters, "Watch your step around here." No signature, no explanation, just a cold, clear warning. Ava showed the note to Michael, who immediately made a call to the local police department. "Harassment," the officer said flatly. "We can log this, but without more evidence, there's not much we can do yet." Frustrated but undeterred, Michael and Ava decided to start documenting everything. Every note, every confrontation, every suspicious glance. What they didn't know was that Karen was already planning her next move, and this time, it would be impossible to ignore. Ava's eyes flicked nervously to the street through the cracked window of the grocery store break room. The late afternoon sun was dipping behind the trees, casting long shadows that stretched like fingers across the pavement. She clutched her coffee cup, her fingers cold despite the warmth inside the mug. Across the street, a black SUV sat parked, its engine off and windows tinted so dark she couldn't see inside. The vehicle was unfamiliar. No bumper stickers, no parking permit. Nothing that marked it as a neighbor's car. She frowned. Why was it there? Earlier that week, the neighborhood had buzzed quietly about mysterious cars. Several neighbors mentioned seeing a dark SUV cruising slowly, sometimes stopping, near certain houses, but no one had spoken about it openly. Now it sat less than 20 feet from Ava's home. That night, Ava and Michael sat on the couch, the glow of the TV providing a soft background hum. But Ava's mind wasn't on the sitcom playing before. Them. She kept thinking about the SUV. "I don't like that car," she whispered. "It's been here for hours every day." Michael frowned. "Maybe it's a security detail for the HOA. You know, like surveillance?" Ava shook her head. "I don't think so. No one told us anything." The next morning, Ava stepped out to retrieve the trash bin from the curb. The sky was overcast, the air thick with the smell of rain. As she approached the bin, her foot nudged something on the ground. She looked down, a bright red sticker with bold black letters, "Trash Violation Second Strike." Ava's jaw tightened. She'd been meticulous about pulling the bin in promptly every day. "Who's doing this?" she muttered. Her eyes flicked up, and across the street curtains twitched, Karen's. Ava's heart hammered. She felt the weight of unseen eyes, a predator watching every move. Determined not to be intimidated, Ava grabbed her phone and began taking photos of the sticker and the SUV. The lens zoomed in on the license plate, partially obscured by a layer of dirt. Later, that day, Michael called the local police. "I don't want to overreact," he said to the officer, "but my wife's been getting these notes and now there's a suspicious vehicle parked outside our home. We're worried." The officer took down the information with a professional nod. "We'll keep an eye on the vehicle. If it moves, or if you see anyone acting suspicious, call us immediately," he said. But the officer's voice was calm, lacking the urgency Ava wished he'd share. That night, as Ava prepared for bed, she glanced once more through the window. The Cashier. Black SUV's headlights flicked on, blinding for a moment, then switched off. Ava's breath caught. Suddenly, a sharp click sounded from her porch. She spun around. The security camera light was blinking, a silent warning that it had just recorded. She swallowed hard. Had someone just tried to tamper with it? Michael checked the footage the next morning. The video showed a shadowy figure creeping toward the camera just after 11 p.m. The person was careful but clumsy enough to be caught, and then the figure turned. Just for a second. A familiar face. Karen. The tension was thicker than ever. Someone wasn't just watching Ava. They were sending a message. But what? And how far would Karen go to keep Ava under her control? The morning sun spilled over the neighborhood like a golden promise, but Ava felt nothing but dread as she stepped outside to retrieve the mail. Her eyes immediately landed on the small, unmarked cardboard box sitting on the porch, right where no packages had ever been left before. Her heart thudded. It was early, and the neighborhood was quiet. No cars passed, no children played. Just the distant chirping of birds. She glanced around, half expecting to see Karen lurking nearby. But the street was empty. Carefully, Ava picked up the package. It was lightweight, but firm. No return address, no name, just a crudely scrawled message on the top in black marker. Not welcome here. Her breath caught in her throat. She dropped the box onto the porch table and opened it with trembling fingers. Inside lay a tiny pink baby onesie, simple soft cotton with delicate lace trim. But across the chest, embroidered in red thread, was a chilling message: "Go away." Ava recoiled, her eyes filling with tears. How could someone be this cruel? This personal? The baby inside her stirred gently, as if sensing the tension. Michael came out of the garage wiping his hands on a rag and stopped short when he saw the box. "What is it?" She held it out wordlessly. Michael's face darkened as he read the message on the onesie in the box. "This has gone too far," he said, voice low but fierce. "We have to call the police." Ava nodded, her hands still shaking. The police arrived within minutes. Officer Daniels was empathetic but cautious. "This is harassment," he said, examining the package. "Do you have any idea who might have sent this?" Ava hesitated. "There's been a woman, Karen, from the HOA. She's been targeting me with notices, complaints, even showed up at my workplace." Officer Daniels scribbled in his notebook. "We'll take this as evidence and increase patrols around your house. But without direct proof linking this to someone, it's hard to press charges." Ava swallowed hard, frustration swelling inside her. How could someone get away with this? That night, Ava reviewed footage from their Ring camera. At first, nothing seemed out of the ordinary. But then she spotted a figure, shaped in a long coat and hat, moving cautiously toward the porch. The figure paused, placing the package on the table before slipping away. Zooming in, Ava's heart stopped. It was Karen, the same woman who had made her life miserable from day one. The next morning, Ava and Michael drove to the HOA office, determined to confront whoever was behind the harassment. But when they arrived, the receptionist gave them a confused look. "Karen who?" she asked. "We haven't had anyone by that name on the board for 2 years." Michael exchanged a look with Ava, disbelief written across his face. "Then who has been sending these notices? Who's been harassing my wife?" The receptionist's face paled. "We've had reports of someone impersonating HOA officials, sending fake violation notices, and even trespassing." Ava's stomach sank. "So, it's all fake?" "Apparently," the receptionist said. "And dangerous. We're trying to get to the bottom of it." The couple left feeling a mix of relief and dread. Karen wasn't just an overbearing neighbor, she was a fraud. And now, with the harassment escalating, Ava feared it was only a matter of time before things spiraled even further out of control. Ava and Michael sat stiffly in the police station's sterile interview room. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead as Detective Harper reviewed their statements for the third time. "So, to recap," the detective said, folding his hands on the table, "you've received multiple anonymous HOA violation notices, a threatening package, and there's video evidence showing a woman you identified as Karen placing the package. Yet the HOA says no Karen exists?" Ava nodded. "Exactly. We don't understand how that's possible." Detective Harper tapped a pen on his notepad thoughtfully. "It sounds like someone is impersonating an HOA official and harassing you. That's illegal, and we can take action on that." Michael felt a flicker of hope. "So what's the next step?" he asked. Detective Harper's eyes darkened. "Here's the thing. We ran a check on the address where Karen supposedly lives. No such resident. The SUV you mentioned earlier is registered to a shell company with no ties to the neighborhood." Ava swallowed hard. "Then who is she?" "Someone who's good at hiding." The detective paused, lowering his voice. "I also have to warn you, these kinds of harassment cases can get messy. Sometimes victims become targets of further investigation or public scrutiny, especially when the suspect is hard to track. We have protocols, but I need you both to be cautious." Michael's jaw clenched. "You mean you don't plan to arrest anyone?" Detective Harper shrugged. "Not yet. We need concrete proof of identity. So far, all we have is a woman on video wearing a hat and coat, which could be anyone, and an SUV tied to a ghost company." Ava's fists clenched. "But she's threatening my family. She's threatening my unborn child." Harper nodded solemnly. "I get it. We're doing what we can." Before they left, Harper handed them a card. "If anything else happens, any more notes, packages, confrontations, call me immediately." That night, Ava barely slept. The apartment felt suffocating. Every creak and whisper of wind against the window made her jump. Michael tried to comfort her, but even his presence couldn't soothe the growing unease. At 3 a.m., a sudden loud knock on the front door jolted Ava upright. Her heart pounded against her ribs. Michael went to check but found no one there. Just a folded envelope taped to the door. Ava hesitated before picking it up. Inside was a single sheet of paper, typed in all caps. "We are watching. Be careful who trust you." No signature, no explanation, just a threat. Ava felt the chill crawl up her spine. The next day, Michael insisted they take matters into their own hands. He researched private security firms, bought a high-end camera system, and even installed motion-activated lights around their home. But no matter how many precautions they took, Karen's shadow lingered. A few days later, Ava was again at the grocery store. This time, she noticed Karen waiting in the parking lot, leaning against the black SUV. Karen's eyes met Ava's from across the lot. No smile, no words, just a cold, unreadable stare. Ava felt something shift, an unspoken challenge. Back home, Ava scrolled through her phone. She found the neighborhood's private Facebook group and hesitated before posting a simple message. Has anyone else experienced harassment or fake HOA notices? Please message me privately. Within hours, messages flooded in, one after another. Neighbors shared eerily similar stories. Anonymous notes, false fines, threatening encounters. The harassment wasn't just targeted at Ava. It was systematic. And the woman they all knew as Karen? No one had seen her face clearly. Some doubted she even existed. As Ava read the messages, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Stop digging, or next time it won't be just notes." Her fingers trembled as she stared at the screen. Karen wasn't done, and neither was this twisted game. Ava sat alone at the kitchen table, the glow of her laptop illuminating her tired face. The private Facebook group was alive with messages, confessions, warnings, stories of harassment, all eerily connected by the mysterious Karen. Each post painted a picture of a neighborhood gripped by fear and confusion. She stared at the screen when a new private message popped up. "I know who Karen is. Meet me tonight. Don't tell anyone." Her breath caught. The message was from an unknown profile named Truth Seeker. No photo, no mutual friends. Her heart pounded. Was it a trap? Michael, sensing her hesitation, looked over her shoulder. "What does it say?" Ava read it aloud. "I don't know if we can trust this," Michael said cautiously, "but it might be our only lead." That evening, under the cover of dusk, Ava drove to the address given in the message, an old, abandoned townhouse on the edge of their community. Her phone was fully charged, and Michael insisted on staying in the car, ready to call for help if needed. Ava's hands trembled as she pushed open the creaky front door. Inside, the air was thick with dust and neglect. Flickering lights from her phone illuminated peeling wallpaper and broken furniture. A figure emerged from the shadows. "Are you Ava?" the voice whispered. A middle-aged woman stepped forward. Her face was tired but kind. "I'm Claire," she said quickly. "I've lived here for years. I'm one of the neighbors who's been targeted by Karen, or whoever's behind this." Ava blinked. "You know her?" Claire nodded. "More than you think. The real Karen is long gone. What you're dealing with is a copycat, someone using her name to control and intimidate." Claire led Ava to a dusty filing cabinet filled with papers and photos. She pulled out several documents, fake HOA violation notices, threatening letters, and a handful of photos showing the mysterious black SUV parked all over the neighborhood. "This has been going on for months," Claire explained. "At first we thought it was just petty HOA drama. But then the threats started. Some neighbors moved out. Others stayed silent out of fear." Ava's stomach tightened. "Why would someone do this?" Claire shook her head. "Power. Control. Maybe revenge." "But if Karen isn't real, who?" Ava asked. Claire hesitated, then lowered her voice. "I think it's someone on the inside. Someone who knows the HOA's workings. Someone who can manipulate the system." As they talked, Ava's phone buzzed again. A new text from the unknown number. "Stop asking questions or it will get worse." Her fingers hovered over the keyboard, tempted to reply, but she didn't. "Why don't you come forward?" Ava asked Claire. "I tried," Claire said bitterly, "but no one believes me. Everyone trusts the HOA. This person is good at hiding behind official masks." Ava's resolve hardened. She was not going to be another victim. Returning home, Ava and Michael agreed to take a bold step. They would confront the HOA board at the next meeting, armed with Claire's evidence and the testimonies collected from neighbors online. But as Ava prepared her notes, a sudden knock at the door made her freeze. She opened it to find a small package with no return address. Inside was a single folded piece of paper. "We're closer than you think." Ava's breath caught, but her eyes burned with determination. The game was no longer just about warnings or fake notices. It was about exposing a hidden enemy, and Ava was ready to fight back. The night of the HOA meeting arrived. Ava's hands trembled slightly as she clutched the folder thick with evidence. Fake notices, photos of the black SUV, messages from neighbors, and Claire's testimonies. Michael stood firmly by her side, a steady anchor in the storm. The community center's meeting room was packed. Dozens of neighbors whispered nervously, eyes darting toward the entrance. Tension hung heavy in the air, thick like fog. Ava took a deep breath and stepped to the podium. "Thank you all for coming," she began, her voice steady but firm. "I'm here because our neighborhood is under attack. Someone has been impersonating the HOA, sending false violation notices, threatening residents, and trying to terrorize me and my family. But this isn't just about me. It's about all of us." She laid out the evidence methodically. The notes, the package with the baby onesie, the footage of the black SUV, Claire's information. Gasps and murmurs rippled through the crowd. When Ava finished, she looked across the room and saw something she hadn't expected. The real Karen, seated quietly near the back. An older woman, unassuming, with kind eyes and a gentle smile. The room fell silent. Ava's voice caught. "Karen, but the HOA said there was no Karen here?" The woman stood slowly. "I'm Karen. The original Karen. I left the board 2 years ago." The whispers swelled. Then the bombshell. Karen raised her hand. "And I've been trying to help you. I suspected someone was using my name to cause chaos. I reported suspicious activity to the board, but no one took me seriously." Suddenly, a sharp voice cut through the room. "You're lying!" shouted a man from the front row. "The HOA president, Mr. Collins. Karen, you're just trying to cover your tracks." Collins spat. "You were forced out for misconduct." Karen shook her head, calm but resolute. "You don't want the truth to come out, do you?" At that moment, Claire stepped forward from the crowd. "I've been gathering evidence. And it's not Karen or some outsider. It's you, Collins." The room erupted in gasps. "Me?" Collins sneered. "I've done nothing wrong." Claire held up a stack of emails and bank statements. Emails showing you ordered fake notices. Bank records proving the black SUV is leased through a company you control. Faces turned to Collins, disbelief and outrage mixing. "Why?" Ava asked, voice shaking but clear. Collins laughed coldly. "Power, control, keeping the neighborhood in line by fear. You all think you're safe here, but I decided who could live comfortably and who couldn't," the crowd murmured angrily. At that moment, police officers entered quietly, led by Detective Harper. "Mr. Collins," Harper said, showing a warrant, "you're under arrest for harassment, fraud, and intimidation." Collins's face twisted in fury as officers cuffed him and led him out. Outside, the crowd slowly dispersed, neighbors whispering relief and disbelief. Ava felt a wave of exhaustion and triumph wash over her. Karen approached her, smiling gently. "I'm sorry you had to go through this," Ava smiled back. "Thank you for standing up when it mattered." Michael wrapped an arm around Ava's waist. "We're safe now." Ava nodded, feeling the baby kick gently. But as she looked back toward the dark street, she couldn't shake the feeling that even when the game was over, the scars would remain. Sometimes, the quietest neighborhoods hold the darkest secrets. The end.